Hey everybody, welcome back to another video on my Storytime channel. So I'm going to continue reading They Shook Hands, which is my favorite Harry Potter fanfiction series, by far on fanfiction. Of all the Harry Potter fanfictions that have been written on the website, They Shook Hands is my favorite series. And I'm going to continue reading it. So here we go. I'm on chapter 7 now, Dueling and Discovery. Harry had never believed he would meet a boy he hated more than Dudley, but Ron Weasley was quickly moving up on his mental list. Harry had been the target of Weasley's vulgar invective every time the groups of Slytherins and Gryffindors collided. The names that Weasley called everyone in Harry's circle were always some variant on evil, slimy git. Weasley wasn't very creative when it came to insults, but Theo had been giving him excellent tutelage over the weekend. It was impossible that Weasley could have something against Harry personally. They didn't even know each other. The nasty words and blatant lies Weasley spewed apparently justified nothing more than Harry's house. It was completely irrational that Weasley should dislike Harry simply because he belonged to Slytherin. Draco and Weasley disliked each other from their first meeting. Harry could see that each held the other in extreme contempt. Usually it was just the two of them. It was the two of them trading barb and jibes, but sometimes Harry was a target as well. Harry wished the red-haired boy would stop being such a git. At least first-year Slytherins only get potions with the Gryffindors, so they wouldn't have to put up with Weasley's contemptuous treatment much. At least they did until he spotted the notice pinned up in the Slytherin common room that everyone got very excited about. Flying lessons would be starting on Thursday. Slytherin and Gryffindor would be learning together. I can't wait to get out there and show Weasley what a wizard can do on a proper broom. Not some thrice handed-down stick with half the twigs missing like he's got, Draco drawled, proudly bouncing in anticipation. Harry, on the other hand, was feeling sick to his stomach. The last thing he wanted to do was make a fool of himself in front of Weasley, Finnegan, and the rest of those Gryffindor gits. He was literally afraid of embarrassing Slytherin House. Professor Snape's threats still resounded in his mind. Wonderful, he said dryly, just what I need to do, make an arse of myself on a broom in front of Gryffindor. You'll do fine, Draco said dismissively. Did I tell you about the time this summer when I was flying through the wood near the manor and almost got spotted by a Muggle whirlybird? Yes, Theo said, highly exasperated. Draco had told the story many times over the weekend. The boy was very excited about getting back on a broom and couldn't keep a thought in his head for more than a minute before the broom brushed it back out again. Draco had been vocal all weekend. He complained about first years not being able to have brooms, never getting on the house Quidditch teams. He seemed to have an endless collection of boastful stories about flying. He certainly wasn't alone, though. Finnegan apparently spent from the ages of 6 to 11 zooming around the countryside on his broomstick. Weasley insisted he'd almost hit a hang glider while riding his brother Charlie's old broom. Draco would ask him how he'd caught up the hang glider riding antique brooms to Slytherin's vast amusement. Billy was nearly as eager as Draco. When she'd first read the notice, she stopped dead in her tracks and stared at the parchment. Her jaw dropped slightly, and a gaze look had come over her eyes and face. Broom, she'd whispered reverently. I get to fly a broom again. Theo controlled himself a little bit better, and Pansy managed to keep her wits about her. She was just as eager as the rest, though. Tracy had been appropriately enthusiastic. Daphne and Blaze had been very excited. Crabbe and Goyle merely smiled and nodded with their heads approvingly. Everyone was looking forward to it except Harry. One couldn't prepare for flying on a broom by reading a book or by practicing in an unused classroom. He was almost frantic. He'd read Quidditch through the ages a bunch of times looking for hints. His friends had all assured him that he'd do fine. Easy for them to say. Thursday morning came all too soon for Harry. He'd been very busy with schoolwork and hadn't noticed the days speeding past. He'd added a handful of new spells to his repertoire and had managed to get the matchstick to turn into a silver toothpick. The post always came during breakfast, but Harry never paid attention. He never got anything from anybody. All his friends had no read to write to him. Draco's mother sent up boxes of sweets twice a week, which he always shared. Tracy's mother sent everyone a whole loaf of homemade bread with a crock of fresh churned butter only the previous day. This morning was a bit of hubbub at the Gryffindor table. Harry looked over and saw Longbottom holding a glass ball of some kind. Let's check it out, Draco said. Draco always eager for a chance to irritate the Gryffindors. Harry got to his feet and ambled in that direction, walking next to Draco with Crabbe and Goyle trailing behind. Well, you got there, Longbottom, Draco said, his customarily drawl firmly in place. He snatched the glass ball out of Longbottom's chubby hand. Blimey, it's a remember ball, Harry, Draco exclaimed. Longbottom's gotten so absent-minded that he has to have someone else remember things for him. Weasley and Finnegan jumped to their feet. Finnegan grabbed his knuckles, clearly eager to fight. Thomas got up from his seat and stepped closer. Draco Smartest McGonagall, the head of the Gryffindor house, came up behind their charges. What's going on here, she asked, her tones clipped no nonsense. I'm always at Numbers remember, Professor Weasley said, quickly tattling. I only wanted to get a good look at it, Draco said innocently. That's all right, isn't it, Longbottom? Draco was looking down at Longbottom, so Professor McGonagall missed the malicious gleam in his eyes. Yes, quite all right, Longbottom stammered. Draco made a show of carefully examining the rubber ball while the Gryffindor boys fumed. Then he handed it back to Longbottom, being quite careful. Thanks, Longbottom. You know, that ball is as full of smoke as your head is. Mr. Malfoy! Oh no, he angered Professor McGonagall. 5 points of Slytherin for such disrespect. Yes, Professor, Draco said, still being the perfect gentleman, and just moved his head to Crabbe and Goyle before slouching off. You prat! You lost us points! Harry was upset. Draco waved his hand. 5 points is nothing. I'll make it up tomorrow on potions. Did you see how scared Longbottom was? I think he changed the Gryffindor mascot from a lion to a chicken. At 3:30 that afternoon, all the Slytherin first years hurried through the corridors to the open courtyard for their first flying lesson. It was a clear, breezy day, and the grass rippled up to their feet as they marched across the lawns. 18 broomsticks were laying in 2 neat lines on the ground. Harry heard from some of the older students that school rooms were practically worthless. Some of them got the shakes at high altitude, and others had a constant pull to one side. Harry sat down on the grass and stretched out. The sun fell wonderful on his face, and he yawned widely. A person can almost nap out here. Before he could nod off, the Gryffindors arrived, shortly followed by their flying instructor. Madame Hooch had short gray hair and yellow eyes like a hawk. Well, what are you waiting for? She barked. Everyone stand by a broom. If your right hand is stand on the left, otherwise switch. Come on, hurry up. Harry glanced down his broom. His some of the twigs stuck out at odd angles. Hold your wand over your broom, called Madame Hooch to the front, and say up. Up, everyone shouted. Harry's broom jumped into his hand at once. He looked up grinning and saw that all the rest of his friends were holding their brooms as well. Crabbe was hovering a foot or so off the ground, while Goyle had smacked himself across the shins. The Gryffindors were having their troubles. Weasley wound himself in the nose, and Draco, standing across from him, was laughing at him. Longbottom's broom hadn't moved a bit. Perhaps brooms, like horses, could tell when you were afraid. There was no Longbottom's voice that clearly said he wished to keep his feet on the solid ground. Madame Hooch and children had to mount their brooms without sliding off the end, and walked up and down the rows collecting their grips. Once Draco's chagrin, she told him, "Hey, you've been doing it wrong for years. Now, blowing whistles, you kick off from the ground hard," she said. "Keep your broom steady, rise a few feet, then come back straight down and leaning forward slightly. On my whistle, 3, 2..." Longbottom, nervous and jumping and frightened of being left on the ground, pushed off hard before the whistle touched Madame Hooch's lips. "Come on, come back, boy," she shouted. Metal was rising straight up like a cork shot out of a bottle. 4 meters, 8 meters. Harry could see his face is ghostly white. Longbottom was petrified. He gasped as the ground fell away, slipped sideways off the broom, and wham! There was a thud and nasty crack. Longbottom lay face down in the grass in a heap. His broomstick was still rising higher and higher, and started to drift lazily toward the forbidden forest and out of sight. Madame Hooch was rushed over to the boy's side, her face nearly as white as his. "Broken wrist," Harry heard her mutter. "Come on, boy, it's all right. Up you get." She turned to the rest of the class. "None of you is to move while I take this boy to the hospital wing. You leave those brooms where they are, or you'll be out of Hogwarts where you can say Quidditch. Come on, dear." Longbottom, clutching his wrist and with tears rolling down his chubby cheeks, hobbled up to Madame Hooch, who had her arm around him. No sooner they were out of earshot than Draco burst into a gut laugh. Then Theo added a snicker. "Did you see his face, the great lump?" Harry couldn't help himself. While it was a tragic accident, it appeared that Longbottom was going to be all right. It was a good object lesson. "Evidently no one told Hooch that Longbottom was going to be a demonstration of what not to do," he said, chuckling. "Shut up, Potter," snapped Parvati Patel. "Ooh, sting up a Longbottom," Pansy jeered. "Never thought you'd like fat little crybabies, Parvati." "Well, look here," Draco said, suddenly leaning forward and snatching something out of the grass. "It's a stupid thing Longbottom's grand sent him." The all glittered in the sun as he yelled up. Weasley glanced around quickly. Almost even odds out here, not a teacher in sight. "Give it here, Malfoy," Weasley demanded. Everyone stopped talking to watch. Draco ignored Weasley, turned to Harry. "Fancy game of keep away, Harry?" He said, picking up his broom. "Harmless game of keep away? Why not? It'd be pretty mean to do this to Longbottom, but anything to irritate Weasley." "Sure," he said, picking up his own broom. "Malfoy!" shouted Weasley as he lunged for the rubber ball in Draco's hand. Draco hopped onto his broom, rose into the air above Weasley's head. Harry simply jumped on his own broom and kicked off. "Well, Weasley, you're wizard enough to face me up here?" Draco shouted down derisively. Weasley's face turned very ugly. He mounted his own broom and rose shakily into the sky. Draco hadn't been lying or boasting. He could fly well, and he proved it, nearly dodging Weasley's attempts to size the rubber ball. "Here, Harry, catch!" Draco was tossing glass gold behind his back in Harry's direction. Harry caught it, executing a barrel roll. Wow, how had he done that? He heard a gasp from below him, but on Slytherins and Gryffindors alike. You could see the pale girl wholly filling in back from joining them in the sky. As Weasley rushed at him, Harry tosses the ball back to Draco. "Hey, Weasley, you want this? Go get it!" Draco cocked his arm, whipping forward, flying rubble as hard as he could. Weasley stared at the hurling object of red and rage crawl across his face. You bastard!" He shouted, flying at Draco again. He missed as Draco dodged nimbly, as he sank bang down to the ground, looking both furious and defeated. Harry gasped Draco threw the ball. That was going too far. He hunched over his broom and zoomed along the ground, looking inside the ball before it shattered against the castle wall of the stone walkway. Harry wasn't thinking. Only if he let such an important possession get damaged, they lose points to Slytherin, probably get detention as well. Until he focused on the glittering gold that was falling from the sky, he zoomed right past the tall black-robed figure. Reaching out his hand, he wrapped his fingers around the cool glass, tucking in close, and bringing himself around quickly. He set his course back towards the others, but sank to the ground and began shaking fear when he saw Professor Snape standing in the open corridor with his arms crossed. looking very annoyed. Mr. Potter, just what do you think you are doing? Harry swallowed hard. Well, sir, you see, we were playing a bit of catch with Longbottom's glass ball here, and it got thrown a little bit too hard. I went after because I didn't want his property to be damaged. We could have lost points, sir. Professor Snape's face was unreadable. Give it here, Mr. Potter. I'll make sure it gets back to Longbottom. You best get back to others and stay off that broom. Harry nodded, shouldered his broom, and went trotting back to the rest of the students. He didn't look back and didn't see Professor Snape staring after him. Before anyone could say anything, though, Madame Hooch returned. She picked up her lesson where she left off, and everyone was zooming around quite readily when class ended. Line your brooms back up back where you found them, she directed them. I'll see you all tomorrow. As soon as they got away from the Gryffindor, Slytherins clustered around Harry, Draco, Theo, Millie, Pansy, and Tracy were nearest, with Blaise, Daphne, Crabbe, and Goyle leaning in. What was that? Tracy asked, her voice trembling. Where'd you learn to fly like that? Harry opened his mouth to answer, but no words came to mind. Isn't obvious, Millie said, practically drooling. It's in his blooming blood. That sort of talent isn't something you can learn. But we gotta talk to Professor Snape and get Harry on the house team. The house team? Harry said, alarmed. But first years aren't allowed. What position? Seeker, duh. Theo's face was getting animated. The stupid glass ball was almost like a snitch. Try and take us to starting Seeker, Pansy protested. He was only the reserve last year, Millie said. The starting Seeker finished school, and being Harry to permission to try out. He'd get it for sure. Millie was paying no attention to where she was talking, nearly fell into a shrub. How will being reserve be any good? Draco asked, bewilderment clear in his voice. Transfer the Venice Vision wasn't the starting Seeker last year, Theo answered. That's what they do tryouts. So if Harry beats Terence the Snitch, he gets to be Seeker, asked Tracy. We've got to talk to Professor Snape, Millie reiterated, leading the path way up to the path into the front of the castle, hall of the castle, down the marble staircase, down the stone stairways to the dungeons. I don't think we'll all fit, Draco said, looking at Crabbe and Goyle particularly. Blaise, Daphne, could possibly inflict these two on you for another undetermined span of time. Blaise opened his mouth to protest, but Daphne elbowed him in the side. It's a big responsibility for the only ones who can do it right. We must do a good speed in your mission, and Merlin granted you return with good news. Thanks, Daphne, Harry said gratefully. The six Slytherins hurried on to Professor Snape's office. Thanks, Daphne, Harry said gratefully. The Slytherins hurried on to Professor Snape's office. Professor Snape, Millie said, knocking on the door. Come, Snape's voice rang out. Millie opened the door and she practically dragged Harry to Professor Snape's desk. Draco, Theo, Tracy, and the others came in as much as they could. Snape eyed them shrewdly. How may I help you? Sir, Harry just did amazing things with a broom, Millie exclaimed. I'm fully aware of Mr. Potter's broomstick handling, Snape replied. Indeed, he does have my permission to try out for the house team. Harry felt his jaw drop. Professor Snape had done a complete reversal. At first, he'd have sworn the man hated him, then become indifference, then respect, and now Snape was doing him a favor. How would you know, Sir? Draco asked. I happened to be standing in a corridor joining the courtyard during the incident, Mr. Malfoy. Mr. Potter will notify Marcus from the team captain. He'll provide you with the information about the tryouts. I hope you appreciate the fact that first is normally not allowed to try out. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Harry's head was spinning. All he wanted to do was lay down and rest. The trip back to the dungeons to the Slytherin common room was a blur to Harry. When he came to himself, he was sitting in one of the padded high-backed chairs at the table near the fire, staring into the flames. He looked up and saw Draco and Theo working on their potions homework. Crabbe and Goyle were comparing notes on astronomy. The girls had gone to the library. He remembered now his own potion notes text were open in front of him. Yucky, he said. I don't see anything about this stuff right before dinner. He closed his book and opened Quidditch Through the Ages, usually the lightest and faster flyers. Give me Neville's Rumbrel, Potter. Weasley's voice was hard and unfriendly. Harry swallowed his mouthful of roast beef, turned to see Weasley, Finnegan standing behind him, unfriendly scowls on across their faces. I don't have it, Weasley. Now, if you don't mind, I'm trying to eat dinner. Harry put another forkful of masters into his mouth. Weasley's face grew even more ugly. I said, give it up, Potter. What are you, deaf? Draco snapped. He totally doesn't have it. Piss off. Shut up, Malfoy. I wasn't talking to you. Well, I'm talking to you, Weasley. You're outnumbered here, so I recommend you leave. And if I don't? Weasley asked belligerently. Draco stood up. Then I guess I'm just going to correct your attitude problem. Weasley glared at Draco. Harry nearly forgot. Any time, he said violently. Tonight, then, if you want. Wands only, no contact. Fine. In the trophy room's always unlocked. Midnight, Finnegan, going to be your second? You bet I will, Finnegan said, seeing her the first time, his Irish accent snappy. Who's yours? Potter, of course, Draco smirked. It might have been Harry's imagination, but a flicker of uncertainty might have flashed across Weasley's face. Fine, midnight then, and then they were gone. What was that all about? Harry said, puzzled. Draco looked for Terragrind for a moment. Oh, Harry, I'm sorry, you don't know. Bugger. Okay, Weasley and I are going to have a wizard's duel. What's that? It's a formal way of settling the disputes. You give me a second, which means to take over if I die. Draco noted the look of horror that crossed Harry's face. Never fear, as if some worthless muggle-loving git like Weasley could kill a Malfoy. But you get hurt, Harry protested. Nonsense, Draco said, waving the question away. Make sure you can cast a shielding charm, Theo said, having heard everything. As if Weasley's anywhere near my skills, Draco scoffed. Theo frowned. Don't get overconfident, Draco. I might have a few surprises for you. Maybe we ought to go with you. Draco was shaking his head. No, he said. How would that look? If I told Weasley that it was just me and Harry tonight, I can't go back on my word, not about something like this. There's honor involved here. He's right, Trace said, leaning over to their husband conversation. When it shows up the terms of the duel are invalid, you certainly don't want that to happen. Right, agreed Draco. When a Hexman's own mother won't recognize him. We should get working on our casting, Harry suggested. Draco nodded. Yes, definitely a good idea. Then we should take a quick nap to recharge. Now we should eat more food. Yes. The Astrover's plate began to fork carrots into his mouth, barely pausing to chew. Okay, so this is part 1 of chapter 7 of They Shook Hands Year 1. And I'll update you guys with part 2 when I get the chance to. Take care, everybody.